The D-Force Airlight boots are a lightweight fabric combat boot made by SK7, which also goes by the name as 707 Tactical Gear. SK7 are based in Florida, USA, but seem to originate from Central America/Mexico, and I've been told they're actually quite a large company in Central America, so I think they've only really recently kind of opened up into the US market. They produce a range of tactical clothing and tactical equipment in various colours and camo patterns, and they even produce a range of combat footwear in relatively obscure camo patterns, such as Pencott Greenzone. So these boots are made in limited numbers and can be very hard to get a hold of. They are all sold only really on US websites, including SK7, so the actual manufacturer website, and on 0241 Tactical, but I'm actually not sure if they sell them anymore. But you can also find them on eBay US being sold by a couple retailers. So the boot I have is the D-Force Airlight, but there's also two other models, one of which has a lower cut and a boa attachment system, which means it has sort of like a plastic knob replacing the laces, which you twist, and then it instantly sort of tightens the laces for you and releases them in a kind of even pattern. And there's also a higher cut model, which is I think maybe 8 inches or so, which is actually extremely hard to get a hold of. So before I get into the review, I'd like to talk about the sizing of these boots first. So I've had 2 pairs now. I've had at least 1 pair for over a year now, and I've had them in 2 different sizes. So this is because SK7's size guide is not accurate. The only accurate part is the centimeter size which they give you, which literally states the length of the foot in centimeters which the boot is made for. Otherwise, their sizes are pretty much incorrect. So originally I bought a US size 11 thinking it was equivalent to a UK 10, and it turns out to be more of a UK 12, and it was actually a CM 30, which meant it was for feet that were 30 centimeters long. And I measured my own foot from heel to big toe and realised that my foot's more like 28 centimeters. 2 centimeters in a shoe is a big bit of empty space, essentially. So I bought this pair August 2018 whilst I was in the States for about $70 off eBay. I was going to buy it from the manufacturer's website, but I didn't really trust the website at that point because it kept kind of changing and it had some errors on it and things like that, and I didn't really trust it, so I went and bought off eBay instead. And even though the boots were very much the wrong size, I still used them. I wore some very thick socks, and I wore 2 insoles, including the one that was with the boot. And it was mostly okay for the most part, but it really wasn't ideal. I could have easily kind of injured myself in some way. Eventually, and very recently, I found a US size 9, which is a CM28, which was perfect for me, on sale on eBay. And the pair was brand new, only just worn to be tried on, so pretty much brand new, and it's being sold by a chap from the Czech Republic. And funny enough, it's because they were the wrong size for him. So I messaged him and I managed to buy them off him for $135 all in, so quite a lot more than what I paid for my original pair. But that also included shipping from the Czech Republic and whatnot. And I really wanted this pair, and I know how rare they were, so I was willing to pay a bit more. Once they arrived, I cleaned and tidied up my original pair and sold them on eBay to someone from the UK for roughly the same amount, so I didn't really lose much money at all. And this is where I am today. So moving on to the overview, like I said, the D-Force boots are a lightweight fabric combat boot. The upper material is made from 1000 denier nylon core dura, which is used in many pieces of tactical clothing and equipment. It's very common in that sort of area. 1000D is an abrasion resistant material, so you can expect these boots to be fairly tough in terms of sort of wearing away. So these boots are 6 inches high, so there is some ankle support, but again, these are a loose fabric boot, so you can't expect there to be too much ankle support. There's also a side YKK zipper, so it's a name brand zipper, so you can expect it to be okay, which is useful for putting the boot on and off without having to relace, so which is handy. Apparently, there is a 3M insulate thermoregulating filling, according to the website, which I imagine is the padding, the kind of insulating padding within the boot itself, which is present. You can feel that there is some insulation to the boot, and the boot comes with sort of a rubber sole that's made in house. They call it the double density tactical sole. It has 6K branding on it, and it says it's on the back. It says it has a helium flex technology, but it really is just a molded sole that comes in 3 parts. So the parts which have the tread seem to be glued on to the main part, which is then glued on to the upper and the actual boot itself. With this pair, a little bit of quality control issues regarding the lower, the tread, which is around the heel. It's not perfectly aligned with the main sole, and there is a bit of a gap, but it doesn't really seem to be a big issue, to be honest. It also comes with a kind of a rubber cushioned ergonomic antibacterial insole, which apparently is washable, but I wouldn't wash it, it might fall apart. And it does seem to be like a pretty good insole. It's quite padded and it is well shaped, but you can easily take this out and replace it with one that fits your foot better. And the lining is apparently antibacterial and breathable, and it does look like that. It looks like it's very porous and that water vapor, so sweat and stuff, will be able to exit out, but it isn't Gore-Tex, so you can't expect the breathability to be top notch with these boots. And these boots, according to the website, come with a few different options. So one of them is a Climate X lining. I looked up Climate X because apparently it's a trademarked brand or whatnot, but I couldn't find any information regarding that in terms of like some sort of technology used with materials. I imagine it's probably some sort of lining which helps make the boot more resistant to, I don't know, rain and snow and mud and things like that. Another option is a textile anti-puncture inner sole, which I imagine is an inner sole that goes in between your foot and the actual rubber sole of the boot to help protect against punctures, so nails and glass and whatnot. And apparently you can also get these boots with a steel or polycarbonate toe protection, according to the website. But saying this, before I actually got these boots, I was having email conversations with SK7 regarding actually trying to find a pair, and I was talking about the options and the pricings and things like that. And I was asking how much the options cost, and I was asking, is it possible to get a pair of boots with some of these options? And I was pretty much told no, because I think this company is looking more to gain contracts, so bulk contracts with companies. They don't really want to be a business to consumer. I think they want to be more business to business. So they weren't really willing to do that. I was also asking about when will they get things in stock, when will they get this size in stock, in this shape, and this type of boot. And they always said, oh yeah, we're making things next month, and blah, 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 blah. I never got any answers from them. So it looks like they're not particularly helpful when it comes with customer questions regarding purchasing, unless you're like a large company. Funny fact, I actually bumped into some of the guys from this company at a kind of military defense and security convention, sort of a trade show sort of thing. And I spoke to them about the boots, and I was really excited about it. And they said they're actually going to be making some more soon, but when that is, who knows? They understand that these boots have a cult following because it's kind of a rare, obscure pattern that people like to collect, like myself. And they were generally quite nice guys. Actually, they were quite cool. So moving on from that sidetrack, so looking close at the boots, it looks like the tongue is a half bellowed, which means that half of the tongue is attached to the upper, which means that water can't directly go into the boot through the tongue unless you step in water that's more than 3 inches high. So that's a good thing. A full bellows is always ideal, which means water can't directly enter the boot unless the entire boot is underwater. But again, that's a good feature. And it does seem that from the factory there is some sort of water repellency with these boots. I noticed when I first got them that it would repel water, rainwater, splashes and things like that. But I was wearing these in quite intense conditions, running around woodlands where the boots were getting rubbed against foliage, gritty mud and everything. So in my opinion, well, not my opinion, but my experience, the water resistance wears out pretty quickly. So with that, I was constantly treating and cleaning the boots pretty much every time I used them, because I was only using them when I was playing airsoft in woodlands and stuff like that. Treating them with Knitwax products, which seem to do a good job of cleaning and re-waterproofing the boots. Yep, so there is some padding to the boots, like I mentioned, which is good. A little bit of cushioning and comfort. Like I said, the sole seems to be glued on, and with this, with my old pair, I noticed that the sole actually started to detach from the upper material, meaning there was gaps in between the sole and the actual boot, which allowed water to seep through, and as my foot was getting wet. I tried to fix this with different type of glue. I first tried hot glue. Do not use that. Does not work. And I think I didn't try any other glues actually. But if this happens with this pair of boots, I will probably use a glue that's specific to boots and shoes. So an example product is shoe goo. So there isn't much structure to the boots because they are very lightweight. All the structure is in the sole, which means it can twist. There's torsion. You can bend it, which means they're very flexible, but again, not a huge amount of support from, for instance, rolling your ankle. So to give these sort of like a final review and sort of advice and opinions, if you're looking to get a pair, look at this centimetre size of the boot, ignore the other sizes, so measure the length of your foot from heel to largest toe in centimetres, and then match that with the pair that you want to buy. I personally wear these with a different insole and 2 pairs of socks, so a very thin base layer and then a mid to heavyweight second layer, which is usually merino wool, because that's generally the best in terms of thermal management and moisture management. I noticed these boots had a very small break-in period because they are so lightweight and flexible. I didn't really notice any sort of need to break them in heavily. They do fit very well. I find they fit really well. There's a decent amount of room for my toes to wiggle around, which is good, but not side to side, not forwards and back. And I'd say these are a really good lightweight option for lightweight applications, so trail hiking or dry woodland hiking or playing airsoft or paintballing in. But I can't recommend these for anything that's intense. So no grueling hikes that take you off the beaten track. Especially in wet and muddy conditions, these boots will get wet. The water protection will be rubbed off very quickly, and they will get wet. And they don't offer a huge amount of support. And I imagine these boots can get quite cold, so I wouldn't recommend these for cold weather or bad weather. But for hot weather, probably fine. Hot, dry conditions, these boots will probably be absolutely fine. In terms of quality, the quality is okay. They're a light pair of boot, like I keep saying, but that also means that it feels a bit cheap. But my previous pair, which I had for a year, which I took out a lot, sprinting around forests and woodlands and urban environments, they didn't blow up or anything or blow open. Stitching seems to be fine. The material can fray on the edges, which isn't a huge problem. You can kind of get rid of that with a lighter, but yeah, not a huge issue. Laces didn't fall apart within the year. None of the eyelets kind of fell apart or anything. The zipper kept working. The interior didn't really fall apart either. So I can say that these boots are decent quality, but don't expect them to be indestructible and don't expect them to be able to withstand intense conditions. And generally, I think they're worth buying. I think they're worth their price because they are a very rare and kind of obscure item, especially in this camouflage pattern. So if you see any being sold online for cheap, I would definitely recommend buying them. And they are, very comfortable, very lightweight, and a really good option for lightweight applications and situations. So that pretty much covers my review of these boots. If you have any questions at all, please let me know in the comments and I will answer them. And that is all I have to say about the SK7 D-Force Airlight boots. And I hope you enjoyed the video. So like I said, any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching.